I don't care whether you win or lose. The only thing I care about, one, are you doing your best? The only thing I really care about is effort. And,
and effort takes no talent at all.
Correct. If you're lazy, I don't really care for that if you're one of my athletes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying and you're still not good, that's okay. But are you getting better? Are you wanting to get better?
Welcome to the Buffalo Community Podcast. My name is Luke, if you are unaware. And with me today are our typical hosts, Tyler and Mark.
Yeah, thank you for practicing your introductions, Luke. I mean, that's why we do these on these solo episodes. But, kind of that, kind of a nice update. One, we want to get you on camera a little bit more because these solo episodes are fun. We get to banter back and forth just about three dudes, not about. We're just three dudes bantering back and forth. But today's inspiration comes from one of the questions that you come up with, Mark, and so I'm going to give you credit for it.
Oh, boy.
Nice.
But I'll execute it.
Time.
Is what topic could you give a 20-minute speech on, in front of a group of strangers, and talk about, with no preparation?
Mm-hmm.
What topic could you give a speech on?
So I think, if we go outside of our professional world
yes, 100%.
I guess what I think youth coaching, coaching youth sports.
Okay.
And, my background in coaching is heavy on the side of baseball. But I have done some other youth coaching things with soccer and a little bit of wrestling and a little bit of football. But I think a lot of times people, well, now I'm giving a speech, but I just think a lot of times people forget or don't maybe quite understand that so many of the principles carry over from sport to sport, right? So They might let their lack of, I can't necessarily, I
don't know anything about soccer.
I don't know anything about soccer. I don't know anything about baseball. It's like, it's nice if you do, but A, you can learn something about those things, and B, there's bigger, we've had coaches on here, Litt, Ortman, these guys they're able to teach fundamentals and skills and abilities and drills and this and that, but all of them talk about bigger principles of, developing the person and hard work and, not to throw out cliches, but it's all I can think of right now. But
right. Cause not every NBA coach, Phil Knight's not like, this is how you dunk a basketball.
Right.
Phil Jackson, whatever. Phil Knight's the Nike guy.
He's the Nike guy. I'm like,
what's the same thing as basketball?
But yeah, so, and I am pretty passionate about that topic because you do see, as primarily a baseball coach, and I'm referring to, you're coaching that other team, and, there's more than one way to do things right. So I'm not saying it's wrong if it's different than how I do it.
Yeah.
But I do hear and see just a lot of bad coaching. And again, it's not because it's different than mine, but it's like there's more than one way to do things right, but to be where you feel bad for the kids that are stuck on that team. And the majority of them are good. But some of them, when the coach makes it about himself,
those are the worst coaches I've ever.
His ego, or like they're trying to work up the coaching ranks to be a Major League Baseball manager someday, right? Like, where it's just like, this is not about your resume. This is not about, winning this game, right? And I've had a lot of conversations with people in a lot of ways, especially at 9, 10, 11, I don't really care about the result of this game. Care that we played the game the right way. We were supportive of each other. We got better. Did you try hard? And so, as you build a coaching staff, you make sure your coaching staff understands, like, hey, winning is nice, and as you age, winning does become more important, but it is never the most important thing. So that's my short answer.
So if you were head of like an association or something, you would call all the volunteer coaches in and just say, "Hey, this is what." I mean, that's probably primarily would be your jam, as to that's your group of people that are going to become coaches or could coach, not coaching yourself, not coaching a team. You're going to coaching coaches,
and hiring coaches, right?
Yeah.
Interviewing them and trying to get a feel for, like, okay, is this a coach who's making it about him or herself? Is this a coach that, shares values with the organization to say, hey, we are not a results driven organization in terms of wins and losses, but I think wins and losses are a product of wins and losses happen when you take care of these other things.
Yeah.
Right? The results will come when you do things the right way. And so I just think when your goal is to win, sometimes you'll take shortcuts, or sometimes it'll come at the expense of another kid not developing or getting an opportunity, which makes it hard for that kid to grow, and you don't know that kid is nowhere near a finished product. That kid might be the best kid on the team as a senior. And so I just think having that entire team mentality of, I'm here for all 12 or 13 kids to grow and get better and develop athletically and as a person.
Yeah.
So if I said like a word that might trigger you, like specialization in sports right now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, with this kids playing one sport year round versus playing 3 sports?
Yeah. So I guess I don't have a huge, I think it's better to play multiple sports. There are some situations where maybe a kid is not allowed to play football, or a kid is not allowed, but baseball is the thing. But I think overuse injuries, but I think as long as you're aware of overuse injury, burnout, is the kid driving this or is mom and dad driving this? I think that's a big one, where maybe mom and dad have some frustration with how their athletic career went, and now they're trying to fulfill their dreams through the kid, and maybe the kid doesn't love it. Maybe the kid wants to play in the orchestra and compose music, right? And so specialization, I guess it kind of depends, right? I think you got to be careful not to hear the word specialization and make certain assumptions about that it's being done 12 months a year at full capacity, and you're throwing baseballs 12 months a year, right? I mean, you have to stop throwing probably 3 months out of the 12. Like, doesn't mean you have to quit training, but more sports is better. But I think
I wish I had played more sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you did one?
Yeah, I primarily wrestled nearly year round.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you take the fall off. I mean, there's not much going on. I still practiced, but not very much for competition. But, I mean, it was basically, October through July. So
would you, if you had I don't know if crystal ball is the right word, because we're not really looking into the future here, but if you wish you would have played more sports.
I wish I would have played baseball at least once.
Would have you sacrificed being a state finalist if you knew that playing more sports was going to take away from the high level you achieved as a wrestler?
You suck. Asking that question, because you know how I feel about my state finalist.
It's a swear word. I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
My journey was incomplete because second place was not my goal, and I'm trying to get better at it. And second place was not my goal. But when I look at a guy like Ryan Babbitts and how incredibly proud I was of him,
Mm-hmm.
of being in the state finals, like I look at it as like, that's such an accomplishment what a stud. Like, I feel so awesome for him and proud of him.
And you didn't feel that
I didn't
way for
feel
yourself.
like that. I felt like it was a complete failure, which is so freaking stupid to say.
Right.
But to say that, I don't know, but that was the main goal. And so now if the results were the same, saying you're going to take second as a senior, I probably would have been like, yeah, okay, well, cool. Then we'll just do sports then. But that was my goal, to have the win record, which is a stupid thing to do. So I should have been considering getting better and faster and stronger, not attributes of it. Those things would have come. But so I wish I would have played more baseball once. I've never even played Little League, but I would have played baseball, and I wish I would have continued with football, but I didn't want to get hurt for wrestling. So
So how does you have 3 kids now, and they're all involved in sports, and so how are you taking your athletic career and experience and saying, okay, I want to make it better, or I want to, you certainly want it as good as your parents were very supportive of your wrestling career. You guys traveled a lot. Yeah. You really all over the world. I mean, right. I mean, I think
United States.
I thought maybe, or
I never traveled internationally for competition.
Well,
but
never mind then. I'm not going
to. I don't know.
I'm just,
so I went to New Orleans for competition, which is kind of a third world.
Yeah. So this never ending question that I'm trying to remember
what am I doing for my kids?
What are you doing for your kids? What are you doing differently, or what do you?
So being a coach in multiple different sports. In sports, I didn't play baseball, football. I coach wrestling as well. All middle school and below level is, I look at it and it's really, are you getting better? That's all I care about. And 100%. I don't care whether you win or lose. The only thing I care about, one, are you doing your best? The only thing I really care about is effort. And,
and effort takes no talent at all.
Correct. If you're lazy, I don't really care for that if you're one of my athletes. But if you're trying and you're still not good, that's okay. But are you getting better? Are you wanting to get better? So that's what I hope to instill in my kids and all of the kids that I coach. And then some have really excelled, and some are just, they're great teammates, and still really good to have around. But I really put the pressure on my boys to excel at wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm totally kidding.
What's
because Jenny's not a wrestling mom. She goes, you can't put that pressure on him. I took him to the state tournament. So you guys want to be here? You guys want to wrestle in this tournament? She goes, you can't do that. You can't put that pressure on him. I said, no, I think it's okay to have goals. And they loved the wrestling tournament.
Yeah. And for them to create some kind of a picture of them being there. Right.
Yeah.
I remember Mary Kath at a tournament, at the state tournament in the early 90s when Buffalo would go all the time. And she asked me that exact same question. And I remember it was the first time I was like, well, yeah.
Duh.
Like, she's something, you going to wrestle here someday? And it's like, Mary.
I'm a Buffalo wrestler.
I'm a Buffalo wrestler. I'm going to be here someday. Turns out I was a really good JV wrestler.
Yeah.
My senior year of high school.
Where's JV State?
And I was 4-8 as a varsity wrestler because the junior who beat me out was injured for the first half of the year. So I got my 12 varsity matches. Should have been 8-4. But I was not mentally strong. I lost wrestling matches before I stepped on the mat.
Yeah.
But on that senior year when I wrestled the second half on JV, I won them before
Yeah.
So it was just like I mentally was in a place where I didn't feel like I belonged. And then later in that second half of the year, I shifted my mentality to nobody can touch me at this level.
100%.
And it's like if I could have developed that same mentality, even if it's completely ridiculous, right? There's nothing wrong believing you're the best. Even if it's completely irrational and on paper it makes no sense. I think having that supreme confidence and, as long as it stays in check and it keeps you humble and a good person, there's a difference between arrogant and cocky and confident, right? And that's a fine line.
Yeah.
But,
can I tell you a story of the star that I used to look at every time during the national anthem before any sporting event? So as a 10th grader, we're kind of going off of your topic here, but as a 10th grader, you know how picture the stars and stripes.
Mm-hmm.
There's the one top star right here, and then there's three.
Top left.
5 top left. Yeah.
Yep.
So I would look at the middle star in the top 5 in the 5 row diagonally if you're looking this way. As a 10th grader, because I thought there's more for me to improve on. I'm chasing. I'm at middle of the pack. And then my junior year, I won a lot more, and I moved up one, and I looked at the middle of the 3, and I was like, nope, I'm with these guys. I can hang with them. And by the end of that, my senior year, because I'd made it to the state tournament my junior year, lost out first round on a bogus call, but no, that
Stupid
was my
refs.
senior year. But I never looked off of that top left star my senior year ever. It was like, nope, nobody's beating me. Turns out 3 guys beat me, but they're all either state champs or state finalists.
So you're kind of saying those 50 stars represented the top 50 wrestlers in the state.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 wrestler in the state was top left.
Yeah.
50 was bottom right.
Yeah.
And so you kind of shifted that mentality of I'm top 5 to I'm top 4 to I'm number 1.
Yes. Yeah. And it never wavered off that my senior. That confidence that you stepping down to JV is that same thing. Like put in your mindset is nobody's beating me.
Right.
The only person beating is going to be myself.
Right.
Well, it turns out it's going to be Jared McCarthy, Levi Price, Aiden Bullerman, or Joey Bullerman, and PJ Mack. But whatever.
Yeah.
Those are 4.
Yep. Well, and I remember. So I'm old enough to, and I've told you this story, but I haven't told the podcast. I was one of Tyler's coaches. Probably your freshman or 8th grade year of wrestling, and I remember we were in Burnsville at a wrestling tournament, and we were both smaller, but we were just rolling around before a tournament, and you told me that it was your goal to be a multiple-time state champion.
I don't remember telling you this either.
And I was like, you're already a freshman. So you better win 1 in the next 3 years. And no offense, but you're not close right now to winning a state title. But I think that's not me calling out your failure to be a multiple time take. It's kind of that saying of like, reach for the stars and at least you'll reach, when your goals are big, good
things are going to happen.
Good things are going to happen. Whether you reach that, reaching the state final, you're so proud of Ryan Babbitts. I'm so proud of Ryan Babbitts. I was so proud of you, and so just, you weren't a multiple time state. You made the state finals. And without those big, huge goals, if your goal was to be, I want to be all conference someday, right?
Hey, the North Suburban Conference is a tough conference.
Or it was. I don't know.
It was.
Does it exist? I don't know.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So I just think, if your goals don't scare you a little bit, then they're probably not big enough. So Luke, we haven't let you talk. So
I mean, this is for me, kind of going back to that original topic of like, playing multiple sports or playing one sport. Wrestling, I think, does that better than any other sport as far as the mental toughness piece. Like, it's just you. Mm-hmm. There's no one else. It's all on you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're the one that has to decide whether you're going to have that confidence or not, whether you're going to work on it or not. It's all on you. And so, like, wrestling, I wrestled in high school. That was the biggest piece for me in growing that aspect of my life, that character, whatnot. But then there's other aspects of the team sports that I got. I played 4 years of college football, and we weren't very good. We were pretty bad. We had 2 years where we didn't win a game. And at that point, you kind of got to figure out, okay, what am I doing here? If it's just about winning, probably shouldn't be here. We probably shouldn't have a program.
To the portal.
Yeah, before the transfer portal days. Yeah. And so like through that, I learned a lot more about, the team aspect of things. I was a captain. I had to figure out what it meant to lead on a team that was not good. What does it mean to, lead by example? What does it mean to show people what it, looks like to be a leader in a bad situation?
A lot of finger pointing.
Yeah.
You guys need to be better. Yeah. I'm doing
my job.
Captain stuff.
Yeah. It's
classic captain stuff.
Yeah.
But just a different aspect of, it wasn't just on me. I had to show guys how to compete in a tough environment. And so there's benefits to the different sports that I feel like I would have missed out on had I only played, one sport. If I only played football, or if I had only wrestled, or if I only played baseball, and I tried track for like 2 weeks and I hated it. And so I went right back to baseball.
I understand.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to just run? I mean, some people, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's just so many aspects of learning that you get through all these different sports that, I mean, for me, at least, I want to try and give my kids the every opportunity to play every sport that they possibly can. And I know that's probably different than, I grew up in a small town, so I was able to play every single sport I could and, start at a lot of them because there just wasn't very many people.
Give yourself some credit.
Don't sell yourself short.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty short.
Yeah.
But, I was kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. I loved to play all the sports and wasn't great at any of them, but loved to play them all. And I feel like I learned a lot more. Maybe it's a little different if you're, trying to go pro. I wasn't trying to go pro and everything or anything, really. I just wanted
wanted to go pro.
I just wanted to go pro. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
you got one.
I got so many.
Ironically, he did go pro for videography.
Yeah.
Yes, I did go pro in something.
And you are amongst a small percentage of the people walking this earth. I'll even walking the streets of America.
That's smaller than
who can say, I played 4 years of college football. I mean, you're probably in the 5%. I don't know. Not very many people.
That seems like a lot of people.
Yeah.
I bet you it's way less than 5%.
Yeah, I think I read something where it's like under 2% of high schoolers go on to play any college sport.
Yeah.
But to be fair, just about anyone could have played where I was playing.
Stop. No, but So I guess we've all had a lot of coaches and a lot of people influence us. I guess, is there, and we won't say names of coaches where you go, that was a bad coach, but a great coach who maybe you would adopt some, like, hey, how this person made me feel or how they got the most out of me. Is there particular coaches? I know being freestyle wrestler, we're not just talking Buffalo coach,
Yeah, I had a lot of great coaches. I had a couple sucky ones too. And actually the worst ones were my high school coaches. Like, and anybody knows me, I'll tell you the stories, but nothing awful. They just weren't great coaches, but then when you're fortunate enough to be on a national team, you do get world level coaches. In the things they did, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So is it because they were so technically, they were such good technicians as coaches that you go, wow, you're a great coach? Or was there other things?
Yeah, two examples that I'm going to bring in is Dave Corey. He was my freestyle coach, and Troy Schrupp, also freestyle.
Is one of those the high ropes guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've told that on here, right?
Multiple times.
Okay.
You can tell it again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. High level, Dave Corey, I mean, he was, world team coach, world team nutritionist. He dedicated everything to the sport to get these few kids. I mean, we drove down to New Orleans for that tournament. I mean, and we got in the back of Nitro, which is an old Caprice classic, and we drove all the way down there. And he did that. He was so great. But just really passionate and really kind of bringing other people in. Eric Anderson looks like a child, still looks like a child, was a Gopher wrestler, But he brought him into the wrestling room, and I thought, well, I'm going to beat up on this kid. No, and Anderson beat me up hardcore. Such a good one. So we really got a good opportunity to get better competition, to really humble you up quite a bit. And, you know, thank you, Anderson, for that, for kicking my ass for a summer. But then the high ropes one, it was had nothing to do with wrestling, and it was he ran a camp Friendship out in Maple Lake Annandale area, wherever that is.
Sounds like a wrestling camp.
Yeah. Well, no, this is part of his
Friendship.
job. And we just came through here, and there's kids that, you know, kind of needed some help. And I didn't know I was a part of it as kind of a kid to look up to. I just thought, oh, it's kind of fun. Only now I realize that. But anyway, high ropes course, which I thought was about 40 feet off the ground, probably was 15. You're harnessed in, and the job was to climb up this cargo net and go stand on top of this log. You know, again, it's probably only 15 feet high, but as a kid, 13-year-old kid, it's way higher. And I get there and I'm holding on to it, and I can't get my leg up. Physically, I could get my leg up. Mentally, I couldn't get there. I said, no, I want to come down. He's like, no, you can do this. You got that. You're going to regret this if you come down. You know, get up there, do it, go to that next level, push that next level. And, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Climb back down. And the second my foot hit the ground, I said, no, I'm going to try that again. He goes, nope, you had your chance. And we went on to the next activity. I have carried that with me for, well, whatever 38 minus 13 is, 25 years. I told him that story, I don't know, 6 years ago when I started coaching. We met up again. He was coaching in middle school. I was coaching middle school. And I told him that story. We caught up for a little bit. And he goes, dude, let it go. That's 23 years ago. Yeah. I said, I've built a lot of my life around this. Like this
I'm not going to let it go.
Yeah. This, I tell this a lot, you know, to some of my athletes. I've built this was huge for me. So that was kind of those two big things. And one of my high school coaches, and actually I heard it, I was so emotionally devastated after losing the state title. So stupid to even say it out loud. But one of the coaches had come up to my mom had my medal because I could care less about it, you know. And he goes, hey, let me see that. I've never seen a second place one. And he was a multiple-time state champ, and I thought, you dickhead. And I just thought, you are awful.
That's a definite definition of too soon.
We're still at the XL Energy Center.
Yeah.
So anyway, highs of highs, very lows of lows. So
for me, I'd have to say my college football coach, John Auer, he coached there for 20 plus years. And what Crown did great is they really, really focused well on that building young men. You know, they wanted to make sure that you were set up for the rest of your life to be a quality human. And again, we weren't great. We were pretty bad. And so it was, you did kind of have to focus on those other things of, you know, we're not going to win every game. We're not going to win most of our games, but you know, what can we do to develop ourselves, and what can we do to figure that out? And
other wins.
Yep.
Not scoreboard wins.
We didn't get very close to many of those. But
we actually took the scoreboard down.
we didn't keep score anymore. But John Auer is one of those guys that, you know, he wanted you to do well athletically, but you could tell that he wanted you to do well physically and spiritually and emotionally. Like, he wanted you to be a better human. And he invested in you. He would, you know, pick you up from the airport, you know, be there for you when you needed him. We had a lot of characters that needed him a lot. You know, that just weren't coming from a good place, didn't have a lot of help, didn't have a lot of people that in their lives that they've had good examples of. And he was that example for a lot of people. So that was one of the best examples of a coach I had. One of the worst examples was high school baseball. I won't say any names, but we inherited this coach, or we got this coach that had coached in the local college, and he was just the worst. You know, you could tell every decision he made had to do with just himself. And you didn't want to play for him. Right. It was hard. It was hard to play this, and that's why I tried track for 3 weeks, because I didn't want to be around him. And I tells you how much I hate running.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And for me, Coach Ellefson, high school offensive line coach, was that guy who could,
the good guy.
Yeah.
That's a bad transition.
Yes.
Ellefson is great.
Yeah. The coach that could get it out of you, right? And that junior year of high school was a difficult year of football on the scout team O-line because we had quasi Division I defensive linemen across the board, right? And I don't care if it's Division I or Division III. I mean, we had legit college football players on that line. And so there were days you show up to practice and you just don't have it in you, where you're struggling. And he could see it. And he didn't give me a pass. He just had a way of looking at you and saying, I need more. We need more, right? And it was because he did all the things that led up to that you gave him more, right? You knew he cared about you. You knew he, whereas if your baseball coach tells you, Luke, I need more. I need more, coach. Like, I need more. So I just think a coach has a way to draw your best efforts out of you. And the best coaches understand that that's not automatic. The coach has to earn that. And once they do, your athletes will do anything because you trust them. They built that trust. And so I had a lot of great coaches. I just think Dean Ellefson, who is now a friend, is just a great example of coaching.
Yeah.
So
very fun. That's a good topic. I think we're running a little bit long. Yeah, it's 20 minutes already. So, but
was that it?
No, I think
it was longer than 20.
30.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think you kind of dip into some good storytelling. I mean, these are always fun. We got a little bit deeper than we normally do, which is great.
So a 20-minute conversation on something.
Yeah.
That you couldn't prepare.
You weren't kidding.
Yeah.
We try to keep it organic and go where the conversation goes. So
absolutely. Well, Mark, thanks for coming up with that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Luke, just in case you forgot who Luke is, thank you behind the camera. But for the Buffalo Community Podcast, I'm Tyler Reiss.
Mark Benzer.
Luke Edlund.
Thanks for listening to the Buffalo Community Podcast, produced by Edlund Media. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube, as well as anywhere you listen to podcasts.